about 15-20 seconds, you should see the stream come up. I guess we can see feet, but is that
what?
Good angle, you think?
I think it's okay. Can I?
Or did the camera?
Oh, sorry.
Just because
I think it's fine.
somebody knocked that, it's going to be a catastrophe.
It's working on. I'm gonna go to the other one. What's your family time, John?
Probably
I told Haley not to be here later than 10:15.
Yeah, I told 10 to come like 10 after 10.
Okay. Haley was asking me, she's like, what's like the latest I could possibly time? I said 10:15.
Right. Actually, if you just go to my homepage, it looks good. Eh? You see the thumbnail?
Yeah, I have it here.
User. So I can just click on that. And
There you go. Perfect thumbnail. Exactly.
So it's a second, but
Yeah.
nobody's gonna miss that.
I'm just messaging the West Coast family just to let them know if they want to test it, they can check it now.
Yeah. You can probably use OBS in the future on your computer set.
What?
If you ever need to do a stream for anything.
Seems a lot of pressure for me to start doing stuff like that, but it's like, I don't have that kind of time. I'd rather just do the guest. Well, the host of the year, that's it, you can make a meeting, you have to content, you have to research, you know, it's a full-time job. It's not just.
Got yourself all set up and you're all ready? Yeah. That's what it is.
But the big is like expensive, right? It's like,
Right.
I don't know, but I guess it's the most suitable one.
The most, unless you're gonna take the flowers out of the wreath later,
Or,
but the most practical ones.
but we can take it like later on in the day back.
You want lunch blue? Yeah. There's a big basket there with the. The big white one there. Would be good.
one?
Yeah. That, I mean, those would be our suggestion, would be that
This one
big
here?
white one with
Okay.
the lilies.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, this
just
one or
because
this one, I think.
That you, right there?
One of these two?
Sure. You only wanna take one?
Both?
The thing with the weather, they'll last a little longer than if it was cold,
Right,
so.
okay.
But I mean, I understand if you just don't wanna take them out to die, and, cause they're beautiful.
They are
Take home, eh?
Well,
But it just make it, I think the big one.
do you think
would
the
be
wreath we
sufficient.
should, or
Eh?
the wreath, I don't know.
Well, if you like to keep the wreath, we'll just take that over to. But I mean, it would look a little bare if you did.
What if we do the wreath and this one,
If that's what you want, that's
that,
what
the
we'll take.
blue one back here?
The one back there in the wreath
Okay,
to the cemetery?
yeah,
All right. Done. They'll just look a little nicer if they're, they cover the grave in.
okay.
All right.
Does the stand come in the wreath or no? They just get-
No, it's just the wreath. And then when they put the sod back, you can go in the wreath, you can mark it. The wreath and you can see the card on the column. Yeah, that's. Well, the wreath is the most practical one to take it.
This is good. This is what you check with.
My friend Gary said at his wedding,
Oh my goodness. It's a hard thing to do. I say my mom's from years ago.
yeah, he was so nice.
So much crap for me.
Right, I'm really noticing his body's not wanting to work again.
She came to see what was here.
And the allergies, yeah, I took an 8-hour shift yesterday, so I haven't had an 8-hour shift yet. And, just, so it did me in, and, but I wasn't, which I was looking past, or that does me in your further. It was nice. So, coffee, and water, in case it's, and I got my glasses so I can actually see what's going on, read. Do you see the free,
No, that was an oak tree.
oh yeah, right. How was that drive?
I thought Joe would drive it because otherwise I'd never see it.
Yeah.
Because his truck is still my car. And he drives. And I said, okay. So Joe kept saying, well, this is something I need to go to this.
Yeah, well, and then, the
Yeah,
truck
I
had,
helped him a lot. Because it was that was 160 kilometers or something with not craziness. You know,
There's
it's not,
certain ones
it's not,
that have-
yeah, it's not as bad as.
well, if you're like, if she's staying there permanently, it'd be good to look into one of those passes. Yeah, Hillary has, she's a so she's,
So it does
she,
make a difference in.
yeah, oh, it does. Well, I mean, if you're driving all the time,
At least once every 6 weeks, I think.
yeah.
Well, there's one person I know that was like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because like after just kind of like one time to go back before I go, and then try to get back as fast as I go. It's just like, oh, okay. I can just,
Yeah. How long is your trip? Is it like a bus tour kind of thing, or yeah?
2 months in each place.
Oh, wow. Yeah, not that far away. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Well, you know, I went to Turkey on my own. And, well, I was going, my roommate when I lived here in Kingston, she's from Turkey. And her sister, I met her sister many times before this, but her sister's getting married. So she's like, come on, all right. So, her cousin, their cousin, he was in some company, and the company just, get this medical partner. So, he had an awesome rate at this brand new hotel. And it was like, $500 from the state card, you know, and, so he's in this little girlfriend, and they met later. They're all girlfriend shit. And, so there was us in 2 days. The wedding was in Ankara, which was the bus too. And it was amazing to do that and some flying, because I had to see that more in the country. And, well, knew I was on my own, but I also had her family having one as well.
And that's true. That's a piece of, even though,
Turn off your phone.
I don't have it in the car.
I already took mine down.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love you. How many of us?
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever you like.
Is everyone come sit with me?
So you're not just
Yeah. Going all the way back to the corner.
Not too bad, how are you?
Yeah. So brought your phone.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
And he like stopped and I'm like, I have to go around you. And I just I was at, I worked till 10. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I can't see.
You'll see your name, okay, on the piece of paper.
I think it's this one.
Okay, so I returned from. Yeah, so I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah, I got all this morning, I sat back down, I was No, not quite. September to January. Valerie, But he's also very cultural. So it was, so they remembered me because I was feeling for years.
We're just waiting on,
Rachel, please rise.
all right. You may be seated. Sorry, I didn't get dressed personal on this one at all, so, but I wanted just to start off by saying, I'm sure we can all agree that this is a reality that none of us expected a few weeks ago, a reality that I wish wasn't our reality, but I just want to sincerely thank you guys, every single one of you and everyone that showed up last night. It meant the world to our family to see the abundance of people, the love, the memories, everything that you shared with us last night. Really meant a lot, and to see your faces right now, I can't even express how much that means to me and my family. And it brings us a lot of comfort. What also brings us comfort right now is my mom's faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, the fact that she believed that he died on the cross for her sins, and because she did, it's not goodbye forever, it's just goodbye for now. And I don't know how heaven works, it's beyond my pay grade, but I have faith that there's a way that she's with us here today, and that gives me a lot of comfort, and I hope that does for you as well. And I hope that over the course of this service, you guys feel comfort and peace in your own hearts, because I know that although she was my mother, and John's mother, and Mimi's mother, Stefan's, let's just say your husband, but you're right, Stefan's wife, she was a lot of things to a lot of people in this room, and I recognize that, and I appreciate you all very much. So yeah, I'm gonna ask John to come up, and he's gonna share some words with us. And,
I didn't get a rehearsal either in here. Probably just gonna read, I don't know, some stuff I wrote down. Today we're honoring and celebrating and remembering Valerie Joan Lawless. She was a woman of grace and kindness who had a song for nearly every occasion. Knew how to make even mundane things fun and exciting, like taking us to the dump as kids to watch bears. My mom was the best mother I could ever hope to have. She loved being a mom, often speaking about her desire to be one from the time she was a little girl. She always encouraging, nurturing, and kind. She taught me to be honest and to love people, no matter who they are. She was a fountain of wisdom. Anytime the trials of life came along, she would always know what to do and how to face them. She was always so kind to everyone, a mother to so many who weren't even hers. Like Gran, my basically adopted Chinese brother that she brought home from the corner store. Anywhere you went, you would always find her talking to people no one else would have cared to. And she did it with genuine love. She really loved everyone, especially the people who need it most. Kinds of people that most other people would ignore or despise. Now I'm going to take a minute to just tell a little story and give a little context to how God helped me to process through the passing of my mom and see a glimmer of his good plan and purpose in it. So, 20 years ago, when my first daughter Kaylee was born, my mom became a grandmother, but my wife hated her vehemently. She hated her so strongly that I wasn't even able to take Kaylee to see my mom. And because of the circumstances, I thought at the time that I might never be able to see my mom have a relationship with Kaylee. At that time, my wife had a dream. It was a short and simple one. She told me this. She said, "I had a dream last night, me and your mom were holding hands in a field of wildflowers." I said, "It sounds like you and my mom are going to be best friends one day." And my wife retorted with a fierce and offended, "F you." She was very mad. And she started to storm off. In that moment, I remember I laughed a little bit. I said, "It's your dream." And fast forward, and my wife and my mom became best friends. Over the years, me and my mom would often remember what a miracle it was that things turned out the way they did, and how my wife and her relationship blossomed into such a beautiful thing. We never forgot, and we always thanked God for his hand in the peace and fellowship that they shared over the years. Fast forward again, and I'm standing at the foot of my mother's deathbed, holding Kaylee and crying at the passing of my mom. That's her name. And I felt the impetus to pray. But how do we know what to pray? In Romans 8, Paul said, "The Spirit helps us to pray as we ought." And so I thank God that Kaylee was able to know my mom, and what a wonderful gift that was. And then in my spirit, I was reminded of my wife's dream, of her and my mom in that field of wildflowers. And Jesus said the Holy Spirit would remind us all the things that he has said to us. And as I prayed, I understood why it was wildflowers. I prayed that God would water all the seeds my mother planted in Kaylee and in everyone. that she touched and caused them to grow into beautiful flowers and fruit. In that moment, I understood some purpose in my mother's life and passing. Everywhere she went, she was planting seeds with her kindness, that by the grace of God will produce a beautiful garden, like wildflowers, in the lives of people that she touched in this world. She was courageous in the face of her own death and filled with supernatural peace. To her, this was not an end, but a transition, perplexing as it may be to some. But she showed it. When the doctors delivered her official diagnosis, she said, "I feel like singing," before she broke out into actually singing. Celebrate good times. Come on. She really trusted in her Savior and his finished work. And I'm sure going to miss my mom. But I know I'm going to see her again at the resurrection of the dead in Jesus Christ. And while I'm still in this world, I'm going to watch for those seeds she planted, to see what grows, and do my best to honor her legacy by planting some of my own. In reflecting on everything, having a passage of scripture come to mind in the context of everything that I've just said, and I just want to read it. I chose the New Living Translation. It's because it's kind of simple, and I think it explains it pretty well. It's from 1 Corinthians 15. It goes, "But some may ask, how will the dead be raised? What kind of bodies will they have? What a foolish question. When you put a seed into the ground, it doesn't grow into a plant unless it dies first. And when you put it in the ground, it is not the plant that will grow, but only a dry little seed of wheat, or whatever it is you are planting. Then God gives it a new body, just the kind he wants it to have. A different kind of plant grows from each kind of seed. And just as there are different kinds of seeds and plants, so also there are different kinds of flesh, whether humans, animals, birds, or fish. There are bodies in the heavens, and there are bodies on the earth. The glory of the heavenly bodies is different from the beauty of heavenly bodies, or earthly bodies. The sun has one kind of glory, while the moon and stars have another kind, and even the stars differ from each other in their beauty and brightness. It is the same way for the resurrection of the dead. Our earthly bodies, which die and decay, will be different when they are resurrected, for they will never die. Our bodies will disappoint us, but when they are raised, they will be full of glory. They are weak now, but when they are raised, they will be full of power. They are natural human bodies now. When they are raised, they will be spiritual bodies. For just as there are natural bodies, so also there are spiritual bodies. The scriptures tell us the first man, Adam, became a living person. But the last Adam, that is Christ, is a life-giving spirit. What came first was the natural body. Then the spiritual body came later. Adam, the first man, was made from the dust of the earth, while Christ, the second man, came from heaven. Every human being has an earthly body, just like Adam's, but our heavenly bodies will be just like Christ's. Just as we are now like Adam, the man of earth, so we will someday be like Christ, the man of heaven. It's from 1 Corinthians 15. In the context of all that, I just wanted to say a short prayer. Thank God for the life of my mom. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for the life of my mom. For the precious gift it was to be called her son and to know her. And I pray that you would just watch over all those seeds. And I know you can see them. She planted in the lives of people. Many of them are in this room and some are not. I pray that you would cause them to grow and that she would continue to live on. While we look forward to seeing her again. In his name I pray. Amen.
Where do I begin? I've been thinking about this moment ever since we got the news in the hospital, just over a month ago. In those early nights, I asked my mummy if it would be okay if I spoke at her funeral, a question that felt honestly very strange to ask her, and I never imagined asking so soon, especially at my age of 33. And she said yes if I was up for it, so I hope I am. The past few weeks have been a relentless roller coaster, one that doesn't seem to stop. Since taking her to the hospital on August 17th, her father's birthday, as she reminded me, it's been an up and down journey. My granddad, Jeffrey Lawless, was one of her favorite people, and that day would have been his 100th birthday. The irony wasn't lost on us as we faced the harsh reality of her diagnosis. Initially, we were told we might have only days or weeks with her. Then a couple days later, there was a sliver of hope, maybe months. In that moment, I started picturing a future that wasn't meant to be. Pushing her around Gananoque in a wheelchair, watching the leaves change colors together, witnessing a few more dramatic sunsets over the river, looking at flowers, and spending Thanksgiving together. I imagined the family sitting around her table, and when it came my turn to say what I was thankful for, I was going to say how grateful I was to have one more holiday with her. I was ready to cherish every moment, knowing that our time was limited. But soon the prognosis changed again. Her body wasn't fit for chemo anymore. The months we hoped for slipped back to days. We had just a short window to share memories, to ask important questions, and I can confidently say that nothing was left unsaid between us, my only mother and her only daughter. Now, I want to tell you a story about a time that my mommy and I got lost. In 2012, during my third year of university, I was studying abroad in the south of France, in a village nestled along the Mediterranean Sea. I asked my mommy to come visit in February, our birthday month, to celebrate in this beautiful place together. She came for about 2 weeks, and we explored the Côte d'Azur. We drank wine on the terrace, we dipped our toes into the sea, and we even had a little adventure in Monaco where she won 50 euros at the Monte Carlo casino, which we quickly spent on a fabulous dinner. One day we took the train into Italy to a quaint village called Ventimiglia, known for its famous Friday street market. If you knew my mom, you'd know how much she loved shopping, even if just to take a look. Turns out I inherited that from her. This was a perfect excursion for us. Now this was before smartphones, and we didn't have working cell phones there, so we navigated the streets with paper maps, and we relied on the kindness of strangers. We started browsing in the market, and assuming she was right behind me, I poked around a few places, but when I turned around, she was gone. Unbeknownst to me, she was experiencing the same feeling of loss on the other side of the market. A mother searching for her daughter, and a daughter searching for her mother. She must have gotten distracted and walked away, I told myself, and I'm sure she told herself the same thing. I pestered local shopkeepers as I searched for her. Mi scusi, I visto questa signora, asking people if they'd seen her, holding up a photo of her on my non-smartphone, cursing myself for letting her get lost in a foreign country. In a strange turn of roles, I suddenly felt maternal and felt responsible for her safety, worried about what may happen. I felt it was my job to take care of her there. After what felt like an eternity, we finally found each other at a pop-up shoe store. We were both crying and embracing each other, cursing one another for walking away, but we immediately started laughing at how silly it all was. That day, I felt a horrible pang of loss, one that resurfaced in the ER when we received her diagnosis. I still feel that pain now, except it's multiplied, and I'm hoping I'll turn a corner and see her again, just like I did in Italy, and that this was all just an awful dream. As you can probably tell, my mommy wasn't just my mother. She was my best friend and my anchor. She was the one person who always lit up when I walked into a room, who was always giddy to answer when I called, and who was always there for me, steadfast and unconditional. I've always said home is where your mom is. Mommy and I always prioritize time together, which I'm forever grateful for, especially now. We spoke on the phone every day when I lived overseas. She came to visit me in Singapore 4 times, once with Stefan. We snorkeled in Thailand together. We went swimming in Indonesia. When I finally moved back to Canada, we went out for lunches and walks regularly. We often battled it out at a game of Scrabble. She hosted me, her and Stefan hosted me and my young family for a year and a half when we moved back to Canada a couple years ago. We've never needed a reason to pop by and just say hi. I can confidently say that I don't regret not spending more time with her because we spend so much time together, creating wonderful memories, ones that I'm clinging on to now. Of course, I'm absolutely heartbroken, and it's beyond indescribable the loss I feel knowing that I won't get to experience the next 20 to 25 years with her. Years which I was naively assuming we would have. I imagine us being ladies who lunch and growing older with her alongside me, drinking Chardonnay, painting flowers. I imagine her being there to help me navigate the teenage years with my kids when I'm scrambling with all of that. But right now it all feels stolen. I'm not only grieving the loss of my favorite person, but I can't quite grasp the loss of the time I thought I would have. And I guess that's the grief that hurts the most, the years that I feel are stolen from me. And as my brother has said many times, we really won the mother lottery. Out of all the families we could have been born into, all the mothers, she got to be ours. She made an adventure out of the mundane, all the small things in life. Everything was more colorful with her. One of our favorite adventures as kids, as Johnny already said, was when we lived in Prince Rupert near Alaska, and she would take us to the dump to see the grizzlies and the bald eagles, just to be in nature. You see everything, and even the dump was amazing with her. A few years ago in 2019, I actually shot a 10-minute interview style video with my mummy and published it on my private YouTube channel for safekeeping. I'm happy to share that private link with anyone who wants it. I asked her to recall her favorite memories, lessons learned, and things she's most proud of. Here are some of her responses, verbatim, from that interview. I asked her, what's a piece of life advice you'd like to tell your children and grandchildren? Her answer, don't take anything too seriously. Anything bad going on will soon pass, and the good times come back, and remember to appreciate those. I asked her, what has been your proudest achievement? Her answer, having 3 kids, having them all turn out pretty good, getting 6 grandchildren out of them, and having them turn out pretty good. When I asked her if there's any last piece of advice to share, she said, just remember the things you can take with you and the things you can't. That's the most important thing to know. When I pressed her to elaborate, she replied, well, you can't take money or possessions with you. You take your love and your people when you go to heaven, if you're lucky. I will speak to her now. Mummy, you raised me to be the strong and independent woman that I am. You have taught me how to be a wonderful mom to my kids, and above all, you showed me what it means to love unconditionally. I'm acutely aware of the motherly role you played for so many others here today, and even those who couldn't be here. You were born to be a mother, not just to us 3, but to your stepchildren, to your grandchildren, your daughters and son-in-laws, exchange students, and any other misfits who crossed your path. You saw people for who they were, without judgment, and offered them love and kindness. You had a sense of humor and playfulness that made everything brighter. I hope that I can embody these qualities now that the world must carry on without you. I promise to remain close to my brothers, Johnny and Dave, who I've leaned on so much throughout my life and throughout this process. I'll do my very best to keep you alive in how I treat others, in how I talk to people at the grocery store, in the friendships I will continue to make, and how I raise and love my own children. In these ways, I promise to keep you alive. I know I am who I am today because of you, and I truly believe that this world would be a better place if everyone had a mother like you.
talk about Mom, it reminds me of what success in life should be and what success actually looks like. And the success that she always wanted and strived for, you know. Family was everything to her. And I know in a situation like this, it's easy to put someone on a pedestal, you know. Usually that's what happens, but she honestly deserved it. We are, in many ways, the people we are today because of our mother. And I think it's something good to take away. I'm not scripted here. Hopefully this doesn't backfire on me, but I think one thing we want to take away from this is just what success in life is, you know? And my mom never gauged it on her possessions, monetary things, the car she drove, the clothes she wore, which was evident because it was always the same sundress every single day. Almost like I used to call her Dennis the Menace. She always wore the same thing. And I realized that I do too. So there's one of my little girls. So I know she's proud. I know she's proud of the life that she lives. And I wasn't going to mention this, but it feels right now. One of the last things that I spoke to my mom about was, well, one of the last things she actually said to me, if any of you have had someone that has been ill and you know the weakness that their body undertakes, you know, towards the end, every word matters, right? Because she didn't have a lot of energy to put out a lot of words. And she told me one morning when I was taking care of her all night, she said, I love you, son, and I'm very proud of you. Now, for me, that means a lot, because I know that she doesn't mean because of any of the worldly success that I've had. She doesn't mean because of the house I live in or anything other than, you know, the person that I am and the way that I treat others. I really want to make sure that I continue on in life remembering the values that she installed in me, and that I treat others the way that she did. Like John alluded to, you know, my mother was someone who would talk to anybody, and she naturally gravitated to the person that society would usually walk right past. And I think that's important for us all to remember, you know, life is short and we can make an impact. And I think a couple stories I just want to kind of share with you guys. It's actually interesting that you guys both talked about the garbage dump. So the garbage dump, just to explain that a little bit better, everyone's got a garbage dump, we're talking about here. So when we lived in British Columbia, Prince Rupert, my mom was always about building memories, right? It wasn't always about like the fancy stuff she could buy us and stuff, because frankly she didn't have a lot of means to do that. But what she did have was she had her energy, her time, her affection. You know, she had the ability to make small things in our life that were big to us feel big to her too. And that's special, you know? And she loved creating memories, and I remember she used to rally up the neighborhood kids. We get in the old Toyota Tercel that was pretty old. We called it the Rolls Canardly. Actually, she came up with that name because it can roll down one hill and can hardly make it up the next. So it's the Rolls Canardly. It sounded fancy, but I used to see my friends when she dropped me off at school, and I pretended to tie my shoe like 3 or 4 times because I didn't want them to see me. But she used to put us all in the Rolls Canardly and take us to the garbage dump. And I know it sounds strange, but the amount of memories that we had from that, because when you're in British Columbia, there is hundreds of eagles and countless bears and bear cubs and just tons of wildlife. And I remember standing up on like the big garbage piles, just overlooking all the dump and being like, this is amazing. I thought it was so great, you know. And it was kind of cool to see like the bear cubs up in the trees and the mothers coming and grabbing whatever garbage was left over. I probably saw your old underwear there once, John, but other than that, it was pretty good memories. My mom, like my brother and sister mentioned, she always put others first. And I wanted to think of a memory that I had that could really help illustrate that to everybody today. And although there were so many, I've kind of chosen to share the one that happened the most recent, one of her last major impressions that she had on my life when she was in the hospital at KGH a month ago today. Yeah, it was a month ago today. When my wife came to visit her, I think it was the first time in the hospital, Denise was standing at her bedside and I was sitting with my mom, and there was a few of us in the room, and I looked over and my mom was crying, and she hadn't cried. She didn't complain about this situation. She was in pain, but she didn't cry for herself once. But in the hospital, there was 2 times it stood out. She was crying, and I looked at her. I said, "Mom, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you comfortable? What's going on?" She couldn't really bring the words out at first, and she was sniffling and just kind of holding her breath back. And she kept looking up at Denise, and then she finally explained that she was crying because she felt so bad that Denise and her family didn't have the chance to say goodbye to her father. You know, the fact that we had these moments with Mom obviously were very difficult, but you know, in a moment like this where she had such a bad diagnosis, and such an unfortunate situation, her heart was breaking for them, because she knows how much they all mean to me. And that meant a lot, and that happened twice actually in the hospital, every time Denise came around. Another time too was hours after my mom got her diagnosis. We were still in the emergency room. They were shuffling us over to kind of halfway between the emergency and going upstairs. I'm not familiar with hospitals in this, but we were there, and there was an infant crying in the background. And I remember hearing it in the back of my mind, but my focus was really on her. And again, she started to really tear up. I was like, "Mom, are you okay? I know it's a lot of information. We've had it's been a long day, you know." And she was like, it's not that. She's like, "It's just hearing that baby, and my heart is breaking right now. And I just hope it's okay." And she's saying her prayers and keeping her focus on that. And I think that that's just, it's not meant to be a sad story, but it's supposed to be something I wanted to share so that people realize the type of person she was and how important it is to think of others, you know? And like John and Emily mentioned, you know, I am, you know, very proud to call her my mother. Yeah, so, Stefan.
You grabbed my bum, didn't you?
Just a sweet.
Always grabs my bum. Something wrong with that boy. I'm gonna pretty much read, because if I don't, I may not make it through, so. Here's a number 1 fact: if you're gonna lose your spouse, these are the kids you want back. They were amazing. Thank you. So when I first met Val, I was barely functioning as a human being. I had been released from the military, struggling to make it through each day. And for some reason, and I have no idea why, she saw something in that broken man. And at the time, I was struggling to understand what had happened to me. And it would take the better part of 15 years to figure it out. Another 5 years after that to figure out how to manage and to function without prescription medications and near-death experiences from drug interactions. And I woke up my life on more than one occasion due to those drug interactions. For some reason, when we met, I was trying to understand the book of Job. I kept reading it and I thought, this guy's on crack. John tells me, no, no, it's Moses. I just couldn't get it, you know. So Bell suggested that I read the New Testament because it's often, you know, people look at that as the fulfillment of the First Testament, and maybe it would give you better understanding. And for those of you who don't know, Job lost his children, his family, his health, and anyone, all his friends, encouraged him to curse God, and he refused to. And I'm going to read the passage that I read that sort of put it all together for me. And I did read the New Testament, and I got through to the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 5. But to put it into context, I'm going to read 1 through 7. I saw the new heaven and the new earth, the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and the sea was no more. And I, John, saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, prepared like a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice from the throne saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God with men, and he will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be their God with them. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. And neither mourning, nor crying out, nor grief shall be any more, for the first things have passed away. And the one who is sitting on the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said to me, Write, for these words are entirely faithful and true. And he said to me, It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, beginning and the end. To those who thirst, I give freely from the fountain of the water of life. Whoever prevails shall possess these things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Behold, I make all things new. I finally understood Job. God restored his family, gave him a new family, a new wife, new children. He restored his health. Very much like you heard from John, Dave, and Emily, that rebirth. Incidentally, neither of us talk to each other at right meetings. Tells you about the woman who inspired them. So what's more significant about this story of Job, and why this has so much meaning to me, is because my life was restored. My children were taken from me. They were restored. I was given a new wife and given more children. And my children were given a mother. And you can ask them about that and how they feel too, and they will tell you. After hear a few brief messages from some of her loved ones, I'm going to come back up. She wanted Waiting at the Gate, her favorite bluegrass gospel song, played. So I'm going to do that, and also have been requested to do a song I wrote for her a year ago, Tuesday at 2. And just so that you'll understand what Tuesday at 2 is, Tuesday at 2 was our reference to when we could be as one. Back when we first started out, I was not stable enough, and she financially was not stable enough for us to do anything. We needed time to work through how our relationship was going to look and how we were going to raise children together. That became Tuesday at 2. That was our appointment time and day. So, with this, thank you all so much for everything you have done for us, for all the well wishes and the support. It means the world. But for the record, no, we are not okay. Stop asking. Love you all, thank you.
But we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So we do actually have a live stream going on here. You guys may have noticed the computer on the side. My mother has a brother and a sister, my Uncle Peter and Auntie Kathy, and as well as many other family members, both in the US and Canada, across right over to British Columbia that are joining us now. And my Uncle Peter and my Auntie Kathy sent something they'd like to have read. So I'd like to call Emily to come up and do that.
Hi, Uncle Peter and Auntie Kathy, sorry. I'm gonna read verbatim what you guys sent. Valerie Joan, born February 16th to Jeffrey and Ann Lawless, a sister to Peter and Catherine in Burnaby, BC. As a child, Val attended Alta Vista Baptist Church for services, Junior Adventure Hour, and Pioneer Girls. As a family, we spent many years at Qualicum Beach, Seashelt, okay, and Point Roberts, where Val would fill her pockets with live crabs and sand dollars frightening Mom. Val also camped at Sheridan, Shuswap, and other interior lakes while Dad fished, and Mom would take her on long walks to discover the abundant wildflowers. Day trips would be playing on the riverbeds of the Fraser, Stave, and Harrison rivers, where Val would fish with her safety pin, string, and a stick. A couple of fond Valerie memories. When Val was a toddler, the babysitter lost her in the house. She was discovered when her little foot popped out of the high shelf in the linen closet where she had fallen asleep. Remember, this is written by my uncle and aunt. They said, my parents noticed increased traffic along our dead-end street and discovered that Val and a friend had actually changed the detour signs. Val was the only one I know that would be homesick at camp, even though Mom was a head leader. Peter remembers picking her up during school when he was at university to play hooky at the aquarium in Vancouver. Auntie Kathy says recently I had sent her several pictures of Prince Rupert, where she had lived for a couple of years, and her comment was, I am really a West Coast gal. Valerie was a loyal friend to all who met her. She had friends of all walks of life. Valerie's family was very important to her, and she loved them beyond measure. She laughed, loved life, and will be deeply missed by all.
Okay, so now I'd like to, I'd like to call up John's daughters, John and Ken's daughters, Kaylee and Sarah, to say a few words about their mother, their Nana.
time these past couple weeks thinking about what I would want to say when I came up here. And the only thing that was really sticking in my mind is that Rihanna was a uniquely beautiful woman. But more importantly, she was a uniquely impactful woman. And I am very fortunate that I had 20 years to know her. I wanted to share a memory that takes place right outside of Tompkins Funeral Home, actually, when I was very young, maybe 2 or 3. We would always go for walks to White's Grocery, and she would take me to the park for a couple hours before bed to get my energy out. And I remember asking what this place was, and she had told me it's where, things happen when people die. And I remember telling her, Nana, I don't want you to die. And she said, it won't be sad when I die. Imagine how sad it would be if you died. And that is the only memory that has stuck with me these past couple weeks. I think I'm with a lot of my family here when I say I thought I had a lot more time. I thought I was going to have the opportunity to make my Nana great-grandmother, to have her at my wedding. And I think the hardest part about this is not mourning her because she was at peace when she went, but mourning all of the things that I wish I had with her and the opportunities that I wish I had to experience with her. Thank you. My special treasure. I'm sorry. 4 words you always said to me. So many cherishable memories we have together. That I will ever treasure in my heart. When I was a little girl, you would always put music on your computer and dance with me. You taught me how to swim and how to cook your awesome recipes. I love spending Friday nights with you. You always had a board game to play or a craft to make together. You showed me the ocean. You would always take me shopping around town, and you always made everything fun with your uplifting spirit. I'll always miss our deep, meaningful conversations by the campfire, and how you always listened to my questions and heard me not only with your ears, but understood me with your heart. She was my best friend, my rock, my inspiration, and she was always a listening ear, and the best Nana, and I'm beyond fortunate to have had her in my life. It was me in the heart, one of the hardest obstacles in my life, and I don't think I'll ever come to, except that I have to live and breathe every single day with her. As we gather here together in her memory, she is dearly treasured in the hearts of men.
Another example of a successful life. Mom would be very proud of you guys. She'd be proud of you guys. And she talked about you all the time, to the point where I even got jealous sometimes. So you guys are a big part of the success that she had in life. So. Next, I'd like to ask Stefan's children, Monique and Lyndon, to come up and share a few words. You guys ready?
Hi everyone. I am Val's wicked stepson. She brought a lot of love to somebody who needed it. There's some beardwoods in the crowd today, so I know what it means to be a beardwood, because when people get stuck between a rock and a hard place, us beardwoods, we just smash right through it. Nothing gets in our way. I'm stuck. I don't know how many times I thanked her for being there. Not just for me and my sister, but for my father, for her children. She knew how to step up. She did it proudly. You guys talked about her dad a little bit, how he was one of her favorites. And I remember hearing the stories about him growing up. And I finally got to meet him. What this magnificent man he was. He inspired me. And I could see why she loved him. And one thing would never leave my mind was when he told me, always say remember, never say forget. Because the minute you say that, you set yourself up for that failure. And I'll leave you to here. I'll always remember Val. Thank you.
She was such a special person, such an amazing woman, and taking in my brother and I, and raising us as her own. It takes a very, very special person to do such a thing. To raise another woman's children, and a woman at that didn't really much care for my brother and I, and she's gonna be very greatly missed.
Next, if I could ask you to come up.
Such wonderful words. I'm really honored to ask as a friend to come up and say some words about Val. So I'm just gonna read it though. Today we gather to remember and celebrate the life of my good friend Val. She was an old soul and a free spirit who embraced life with open arms and heart full of love. Her kindness and generosity touched everyone she encountered, no matter what their walk of life. Val didn't find happiness in money and material things. It was all about the relationships she made. Val's deepest joy and devotion belonged to her family. Her children and their spouses and her many grandchildren, Stephen and his children, they were all the light of her life. There was no greater happiness for her than being surrounded by them. watching them grow, sharing their laughter and dreams. Her family is her heart, her most treasured legacy. She was their guide, the confidant, and the greatest supporter, and that love will continue to shape their lives forever. Val is also a cherished friend and co-worker of mine for over 20 years. For those of us who've had the privilege of working alongside her, she was more than just a colleague. She was a true friend. Her warmth and humor made even the toughest days brighter. I think that her co-workers and customers will remember mostly about her was her life stories. There's not a subject out there that Val did not have a story to tell. Though our hearts are heavy with her sudden and unexpected loss, we find comfort in the memories we share, the stories of kindness and the love she spread, and the lives she touched, both at home and at work. Val lived her life fully, with a heart open to all and a spirit that soared. Her legacy will live on in her family and in the friendships she forged and the love she left behind. We will miss you, Val. You were the light in all our lives, and though you were no longer in heaven, your spirit remains guiding and comforting the ones you left behind. Thank you.
It's amazing to see how everybody that comes up, we didn't share our speeches together, but everyone, the common denominator is how much my mother loved, appreciated, respected, recognized, valued other people. It goes to show that it's not just me that sees it, or Emily, or John, but everyone. I'd like to bring up Leslie and Harry. Leslie is my mother's friend since 1994. And Harry, we knew you since you were in diapers. Come on up.
Give it driver's license.
When I first met Val in 1994, we both rode gray Toyota cell station wagons. Exactly the same. I wrote something. And it was so hard to write something about Val because we were so close. I wrote, "Fly high, beautiful butterfly, on your adventure to the Lord. And can I go with you up 30 years of memories?" Of memories will bring you, will keep you alive in our hearts. We will miss you for the rest of our lives. Never have we met a more honest or faithful friend through good times and difficult times, while you found a humor in every situation. Thank you, Val.
Well, it's hard to say anything about Val that hasn't already been said better by someone else. I mean, and actually, even though I've known Val for so long, most of the stories that come to mind aren't ones that, well, not saying that there's anything improper about them, just that they would require more explanation. One of the more tame ones being that in order to conquer my fear of the stairs, Stefan and Val decided that the best way to do that was to get me in my chair and just push me down the front steps.
Backwards.
Well, no, I remember going forwards. Maybe that was the second, I don't know. But anyway, what stands out to me is that it's, well, again, other people have said the same thing, but Val for some reason chose to open her family and her home to me for, I think it was, Mom was saying it was one weekend a month for I don't know how many years. Felt like forever. It's been as long as I can remember anyway. It's unfortunate that for the past few years it seems we drifted out of touch, but these things happen, I guess. I can remember something that I would repeatedly ask Mom is like, when do you think we can go to the campground? Because I would always have like, there would always be alcohol and cigars and whatever, you know. I knew that I was in for a good time, in other words. So I think a gift that Val and Stefan gave me is that they didn't see me differently than anyone else. So they actually pushed me in the direction of learning that I could do things. I took my first steps into being able to cook things for myself. And actually, this is a long time ago now. I have, a long time in my past, I have been a competitive swimmer. But even before that, I couldn't do, I was even afraid to put my head under the water. And it was Val that, again, gave me that supportive environment where I was able to do more than I thought that I could. And it opened a lot of opportunities for me. I'm just glad that even though Val isn't here, I still have all of the connections that came together because she was here. And I always say I'm not particularly religious, but I do like to think that in some way she is here. And that, well, as long as one of us, well, look at how many of us are in the room, as long as one of us remembers her, then she's still here.
Disaster. Come on in.
Get it together, Beardwood.
Worst case scenario is I'll pull out the cord.
You got the mic, so it's perfect. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay, let's just, turn that off here. That's short, so let's do that too. There.
What are you gonna do, Stan?
So, this is Waiting at the Gate. This was her favorite bluegrass gospel since the day I met her. She said this is what she's going out to. So, here it is. Oh, you started it. I'm waiting at the gate, look for my ride. Soon to take me to my home on high. Angel man's coming from the other side. I don't want to be late. Waiting at the gate. Now I can hear the thunder. The time's at hand. Joy bells are ringing to the promised land. Jesus is coming, my soul to take. Yeah, Lord, take me. Waiting at the gate. I'm leaving this world, no more to do. All my work on earth is through. I fought the fight, I kept the faith. Yeah, Lord, sees me. Waiting at the gate. Now I can hear the thunder. The time's at hand. Joy bells are ringing in the promised land. Jesus is coming, my soul to take. The Lord sees me, waiting at the gate. The Lord sees me, waiting at the gate. So last year, Val asked me why I'd never written a song about when we met. And Tuesday at 2, which we had actually engraved in our drum strings. So this is what I gave her. I've been waiting all my life for someone just like you. I've been searching in the darkness of a life came from you. And I've been waiting to tell someone how much I love you. See me if you want to next Tuesday at 2. I go walking and you find me just like I found you. I can't breathe when you kiss me. My heart cries out for you. I can see my fog has lifted and now I feel brand new. Lay beside me in the morning next Tuesday at 2. When we're together, when we're alone, our hearts will be together no longer. Now and forever, Tuesday at 2. Sit on our porch and remember our first kiss. You caress me in the evening and remind me love can't wait. We wake in the morning and the sun shines on your face. You whisper to me softly, today's our day, Tuesday at 2. When we're together, when and forever to stay at you. I've been waiting all my life for someone just like you. I was searching in the darkness, a light came from you. Just one last note. We were singing that to her and thought she was asleep. And she wasn't, and she sang to it. And they clapped. She was just an amazing gift. Thank you all so much.
I remember when you were saying that to Mom, actually, it was actually at Tuesday, and I was making a joke. It was Tuesday before she passed. And I actually have a video on my phone, so I can show it to you if you want. Yeah, so in conclusion, again, just wanted to thank you guys all for making it out for us today. I think you can understand how much it meant to us, as we've all said countless times. There is one thing I wanted to kind of mention. On the way out, there's baskets you'll see. Interestingly enough, if you remember from my brother's speech about wildflowers, about how my mom planted them everywhere she went. Interesting enough, my Uncle Peter and Auntie Kathy also mentioned that she used to love to pick wildflowers. If you didn't know, this was kind of all something that came together here today. We have pouches of wildflowers, and we'd like you guys to take those pouches and sprinkle them where you feel they're needed, and where you feel, it could make the world a little more beautiful. So if you could do that on the way out, that'd be fantastic. And we are going immediately over to yeah, I know it's spelled there. Down Cemetery. So if any of you or all of you are able to join, we understand that everyone has a lot of things probably to do today, but if you're able to join us, that'd be fantastic. Also, from 3 to 5 at the Old English Pub, there is going to be some appetizers going around for those of you that do have the opportunity to make it by. Don't feel pressure, but obviously you're more than welcome if you can. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for coming, guys.
I was sleeping.
I was going to, but then I thought, no, I gotta come back and get the TV and everything anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm gonna come back here. Oh, are you? Okay.
I'm just gonna stop the stream and then you guys can set the laptop in your office or whatever. You need to clear it. Anybody still watching?